Welcome back. I'm going to take you live now to the UK. There's a new study out. It's shown that CEOs, chief executive officers, business confidence has plummeted by around 21% between 2018 and 2019. The 2019 Worldcom Confidence Index shows the United States has had the largest drop of any country at 51%. Could that be to do with Donald Trump, I wonder? A survey involving more than 58,000 business leaders from right around the world. Via Skype, project leader Crispin Manners from Worldcom. A very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. So we've seen this drop in global business leader confidence. Is there a single reason?
I don't think there's a single reason, but some of the factors that have come through have been around things like economic migration, global tariffs, and the increasing battle for talent. All of those things are combining to make leaders around the world more concerned about their ability to achieve their goals.
And we can look at some of those in just a moment. But when you see a big drop like this, and maybe a starting point is to put that 21% into some sort of context for us, is this worse than usual? But when that happens, what then is the impact on the business climate, I wonder?
What I think is interesting about the global study is that although the average is a 21% decline, it's not universally bad news in that sense, in that some countries, particularly Japan, saw a significant increase in confidence. So what we've also were able to do was to look at the various confidence levels of different sizes of businesses and different age of leaders. And what we found was that the youngest leaders were actually had the lowest confidence levels. So I think, to answer your question, the impact on business varies according to the size of the organisation, where they're based, whether they have international exposure, and also the age of their leader. And perhaps those leaders with the least experience are feeling the impact of some of those macro changes that we mentioned before.
To what extent, if at all, do you look at developing countries? And I ask this question obviously because of where I'm broadcasting from. This year,
by shifting the way that we captured the information, we were able to do some analysis across a much larger number of countries. We included South Africa, and also some of the other BRIC states, I guess, like Brazil, India, Russia, as well.
And how do we fare? Are you able to mine down a little further?
I think in terms of this year, we produced a report for Africa, where we analysed data from at least 22 states, and we produced a report exclusively on South Africa. And the results from the continent of Africa are actually quite different in a number of areas when it comes to confidence, particularly around people. What we found was that whereas leaders in the United States, for example, are particularly concerned about retaining their best talent, that's not an issue for leaders in African countries, where the confidence levels there are actually quite high.
Why is there such an issue about talent retention? What is leading to that drop in confidence?
I think what in countries where there is very high employment levels, what obviously leaders are finding is that employees have a lot of choice about where they can work, and because of that, over the past few years, they've been trying to find different ways to encourage loyalty. And I think what we've seen over the last two reports is that progressively leaders have become to recognise that they have to give employees reasons to want to come back to work every day, and that's less about things like employment benefits, although that does feature, and it's more about the ability to involve employees in the future of the business, to give them a very clear career development path, and to invest in their training and development. And that shone through in this year's results in pretty much every country where we analysed the data. The number one issue of conversation by leaders was upskilling and reskilling. Sorry.
Again, I'm going to move on if we can. I'm also interested in one of the other findings. The impact and the role of the press, the media, has the lowest CI score. I wonder why.
Well, I think it's obviously very interesting that leaders are very concerned about the impact and role of media. And I think there are a number of factors in causing that. One is obviously the rise of social media. You have had people becoming very selective about where they gather their news from. Equally, the increasing role of political leaders in shaping the news agenda with their own social media posts, I think is also having a significant impact. And a combination of those things, I think, has challenged leaders around where their most trusted sources of information are going to come from if they are going to build trust in their organisations with all of their various audiences.
A lot of food for thought. Crispin Manners, thank you very much indeed from Worldcom, joining us via Skype from the United Kingdom.